Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And my name's Bill Matz. That is, of course, Flyperbole himself, Steve Jaco. And Steve, I don't know about you, but I was pretty disappointed in that game. Now,
I'm feeling bad, Bill. Not feeling good.
My period by period summary of this game is first period. All right, you'd like to get one, but good effort. You kind of continued what you needed to do, playing the same way that you played the last two games against the Devils in the last 2 weeks or whatever it's been. And then in the second, kind of falls apart. And listen, the Devils are much, much better than the Flyers. There was a really good chance that the Flyers weren't going to beat them 3 times in 12 or 13 days. And they get a couple power play goals. I do want to talk about the penalty kill a little later in the show, but they get a couple power play goals. Momentum just kind of goes their way. You expect that. That's going to happen. My real disappointment comes from the lack of pushback in the third period, whether it's sustained zone time, taking chances to create scoring chances, or just physically pushing back against a team that was intent on showing you, yeah, you pushed us around the last 2 games. We're going to answer back. They did, and I wanted to see the Flyers, if nothing else, because the Devils are light years ahead of Philly in terms of like where they are in the hierarchy of this league.
Sure.
But I just wanted to see a little bit more of a physical pushback. The second period ends with Hathaway, kind of throwing a hit and just like, all right, we're not going away. And then it really felt as if they went away in the third period and it was, yeah, we're down 4-0. Who cares? And sure, I guess, but I don't know. It's a division rival. Why not give them something to think about for your meeting in March and for, just the rivalry in general? Because overall, I thought it was an entertaining game until the third period.
I agree completely. And they got blown away in the second period, and it was still like an entertaining game. It's a disappointing effort in the third period. That's not what you want to see. And what's the old Flyers standby is like, if you can't beat them, right? Just beat their butts in. But they didn't do that. It was just rough to see, especially after, Tippett gets knocked out in the second period. That's a game changer right there. Losing Tippett definitely changes the course of this game and how the Flyers play for the remainder of it. And look, that by no means, like, I didn't consider that like a retaliatory play or anything, but like, the Devils were playing a rough game, and it didn't seem like in the third period the Flyers really wanted to answer that. There was a period in this game where the Flyers were answering that, and then it just disappeared. And like, you hate to see that. I know you're down 4-0, and it sucks, but score a goal, do something. That was a boring third. That sucked to watch.
And listen, I realize like it's 2025. It's not 1975.
It's not.
It's not even, it's not even 2015, but
right.
But
there's no Wayne Simmons out there who's just going to drop the gloves and beat your face in.
I was just a little disappointed in that. More than a little disappointed in that third period. Like, I'm not even saying line brawl, turn this into the Braden Holtby, Ray Emery game. I'm not even saying that. I just think, all right, man, Jake Allen's going to shut us out. Make them feel the pain of this, what was a physical, fast-paced hockey game between 2 division rivals. I just didn't like the way they finished the game. It's not very
Flyerly.
Yeah, it's just not like the culture they're trying to build. Right. Again, I'm not like, oh yeah, well, Nick Seeler needs to go out and two-hand somebody. Like, that's not, but like, finish every hit. If they're going to go into the corners, take the body. And there is just way too much, all right, let's get the hell out of here kind of nonchalance in the third.
You know what my lasting image is from that third was that the Flyers had another opportunity where they had like 2 or 3 opportunities tonight where they absolutely should have gotten that puck in the back of the net. Like, I don't know if Jake Allen had put some sort of like spell back there that kept the puck out, because like it didn't seem like physics physics was defying the Flyers as far as getting the puck to the back of the net a couple times. And it had a flash over, the camera had a flash over to the Devils bench. And I forget which Devil it was, but he was just like chuckling about it. Like these chumps can't even get like one goal. And like, that's the kind of game it was. The Flyers were the chumps getting laughed at by the Devils, and it sucked.
No, and like from early on, there's the Kurz play in front that ends up actually getting reviewed, but he gets 2 clean looks right in front of the net with Jake Allen not like in the best goalie gonna make a save position, and
Great opportunity. Loved it.
Doesn't get it through him. There's
great play by Richard on that one, by the way. That was one of the guys who stood out to me.
Tony Dick with the great setup to get that puck out front to Kurz.
Tony Dick and Kurz had a little bit of chemistry tonight. I did actually like that little bit from this game.
Yeah, didn't hate it. Definitely didn't hate it. There's Michkov in front. He has the cross ice pass that he's just not quite able. Like, man, a month or two ago, I feel like that is a goal 10 times out of 9, like he just finds a way, even if he doesn't field it totally cleanly, like he finds a way to put that puck in the net because that's just what he's so good at. There's the save, like Jake Allen down and out after 2 saves, and Dougie Hamilton comes in and swats one. Like, it was just that kind of night. Like, the Flyers, they were never going to win this game. The way the second period went, it was just, okay, yeah, the Devils weren't losing 3 in a row to a team that they're much, much better than. And it showed tonight, but you could have made it a tougher 2 points to come away with, you beat us in regulation. You won 5-0. You have a few more bruises though. Like that's just what I was really looking for. I do want to talk individual players tonight. Let's get to Sam Ersson first. I thought he was very good in the first period, especially the end flurry he had where Devils were really pressing near the end of the period. He made 2 or 3 saves. He was really good in the first. And in the second, even after he gives up a couple, I mean, he makes some huge saves on odd man rushes, a breakaway to keep the game. I think it's 2-0 at the time. And Flyers are getting chances down the other way, and it's kind of a back and forth game. It's still very much in doubt. And then suddenly, a couple of saves that should have swung momentum, Flyers don't take advantage. And then next thing you know, Sean Couturier is going off for a stick penalty, and now it's 3-0, game's over.
like you blinked and you missed it. It was crazy.
But Ersson, he gets pulled. He gives up 4 goals on 9 shots in the second. His final line was saved 12 out of 16. So it's one of the best 750 save percentage games you might ever see, honestly. I thought he could have been better on, I was thinking like 1.5 to 2 I'll put on him. But really, I don't know, man. Don't give up this many. Don't take this many penalties. Don't give up this many odd man rushes. Like,
bad night for the
really
odd man
not a
rushes.
ton Ayers could have done tonight.
Absolutely. Bad night for the odd man rushes. And like, that was one of the things that they did so well in those previous Devils games was they really played their defensive game. The Flyers like went back, they did their turtle thing in their own end, but it worked out. They really limited the high danger scoring opportunities, and the Devils got a ton of them tonight. I looked back at the goals real quick before we started the post game, and that first goal, so many weird bounces happen on that goal to set everything up. So I can't really place that one too much on him. That was just like unfortunate all around. So the first one was really weird. The second one, that's a 2-on-1 with Jack Hughes. Like, of course. Like, of course. Like, that's what happened there. But, could he have stopped? Maybe. But, like,
that's one of the ones where I'm like, it's not a save I necessarily expect, but it's one I need,
It would have been huge, or Luke Hughes, by the way.
Luke.
I said Jack. But,
it was the Hughes brothers 2-on-1. He fakes the Jack, takes the shot himself, and
you get those Hughes mixed up after a while because they're all so talented, and I hate them all. But yeah, like those Hughes guys are just so friggin' good. You can't give them a 2-on-1 like that. Like,
Luke played a really strong game tonight, I thought. Too.
He's awesome. Like, I hate that he's awesome, but he's awesome. They keep finding him.
he's the third, like he's number 3 out of the 3 brothers. It was like, I don't know, he looked pretty freaking good tonight.
DeMeo's came back all of a sudden. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, Luke Hughes, man, like he's just all those Hughes boys are unreal. And like, yeah, I would like that one back, but like it would have been a game-changing save. But like, what are you going to do? It's a 2-on-1 and they took advantage with a good shot. It's just what's good. You know, that's what happens. So, you know, that second goal, okay, you could have it back, but it's also a tough situation. Third goal, PK, more weird bounces, bad crease control. That one's kind of a defense and Sam Ersson together, a real crappy joint altogether, like just not a fun time for anybody. I would like somebody to get that damn puck out of the crease. That would be great. But ultimately, like the bounces, man, the bounces were weird on that New Jersey ice tonight.
The bounces were weird. Like you look at that fourth goal, like Mercer wide open. Mm-hmm. I think they all had one thing in common, whether it was on the rush or on the power play, whatever it was. The Flyers were outnumbered, like low in the zone, outnumbered, whether it was odd man rushes or off the cycle, whatever. There was just more Devils around than Flyers. And I don't know, in front of your net, you have to defend better. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Ersson, he should have been a star of the game and his team let him down. I don't think that, but I don't think he was horrible tonight considering you look at the numbers and go, ooh, that's rough.
This loss was a real team effort tonight.
It took 20 guys to lose 5-0 to Jake Allen. That is absolutely
sure did.
That is absolutely what I will say. So my question about Ersson now. So they get him out. I think there's 7 minutes left, maybe 6 minutes left. He plays 33-26. So let's say there's 6 minutes or so left in the second period. He's given up 4 goals. Can't kill him for them. I didn't think he was great, but you can't kill him. And they bring in Ivan Fedotov. Back-to-back tomorrow, they play the Islanders. Now, Fedotov just hasn't played a ton of hockey, so maybe it's I don't know, let's warm him up. It's not like we've gotten him in a lot of games. It's been all Ersson since he's come back from injury. So maybe that's the thinking. Or, you know what? We have no chance tonight. It's 4-0. Let's get Ersson out and see if we can get him back in tomorrow. Which way do you think they're going to go?
I think what they should do is they probably should put in Fedotov to spare Ersson a little bit because they have been running him ragged. We were talking about this pregame, they've been running Ersson out there a lot lately. And he is their only close to number 1 NHL starter right now. It just is what it is. But I wouldn't be totally shocked if they ran him back out there tomorrow. He's the one guy Torch trusts, and for good reason. Ivan Fedotov makes you nervous, just making a routine save, and Kolosov's with the Phantoms for a reason, and he hasn't even looked good there. So Ersson's really the only NHL level starter you have. So I guess if you're trying to pick up points, in the Islanders game is a game you really should get points from, even in a back-to-back. Now I don't have expectation they're getting points in that game, especially after last week, but you never know. But I would think my first instinct is they go Fedotov in the back tomorrow, but I would not be surprised if we saw Sam Ersson.
Yeah, I'm not going to rule out Ersson at all, especially you look at the Islanders team you're competing against for a playoff spot. He's got really good career numbers against the Isles, 917 and a 207 goals against. He's been great against them. We all know what Sorokin does to the Flyers. So it's probably going to be a low-scoring game. And, if Ivan Fedotov's in there, you always run the risk of, they scored on 4 of their first 5 shots. So I don't know what to tell you. But my guess is it's still Fedotov, and this was a way to get him into a game because he's played, twice this calendar year,
Yeah, pretty much.
If that. So maybe he gets warmed up, and now you can throw him out there tomorrow. And it's not his first action in a week.
This is 4 times this calendar year: January 5th, January 7th, January 14th, and January 24th. So there you go. This is the 5th time this calendar year that we've seen Ivan Fedotov. How about that?
Right. Yeah. Right, because Ersson was hurt to start. I keep forgetting he came back the 9th and not the 1st, but he got hurt on New Year's. But it's when after Ersson came back, this is like the second time he's made like 2 starts. So
5 starts is not an incredible amount of starts for a guy who
in a month.
And they've had a lot of games jam-packed in this month.
It's been a jam-packed month, and it is now today is the 29th. Like it's been mostly Ersson. So maybe this was just a way like, okay, well, we're gonna start Feddy tomorrow, and it won't be the first time he's seen live action in over a week. So that could be, but yeah, I'm not gonna be super surprised if we do end up seeing Ersson, just because we know the coach trusts him, or at least believes in his ability far more than anyone else that he's had in his tenure here.
If there's one goaltender in the entire organization that he trusts right now, it's Samuel Ersson.
And listen, it's a low bar, but we saw how much he trusted him last year. I do want to touch on this as well. So this game, I thought through 40 minutes, listen, yeah, the Flyers got killed in the second. They end up losing 5-0. All that sucks. But the way this thing started, it was contentious. It was fast-paced. It was physical. I wouldn't mind. Like, imagine this as just a quirk in the NHL schedule. 6 months, about 6 full months. October, November, December, January, February, March, and then, it spills into April. But each team plays one division opponent each month, the full slate. Like, if you play them 3 or 4 times, it's all within a month of each other. I think that would make for some really freaking good hockey. The way that they love this divisional playoff setup that they have. It's supposed to create rivalries, all that stuff. Ask the LA Kings how much they like this setup.
Ask the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah. But I think if you were to do it in the regular season, if it created, and forget about the final score, but if it just created games that had the feeling of this one when the puck was dropped in the first 10, 15, 25 minutes of this game, I'm all for it, because this was pretty damn entertaining up until the point it was like, yeah, the Flyers have no chance of coming back.
The Flyers had a great first period. They outshot the Devils 10-7 in the first. Like, we thought we were in for a treat. Even after the Devils scored the first 2, I was not despairing. I'm like, Jake Allen's in there. The Flyers are going to get their opportunities. Don't worry. This game is far from over. And then 3 happened, and I'm like, yeah, it's not looking too good.
Yeah, after the first period, I was just really thinking, wow, Sheldon Keefe, huh? Like, he's seen this opponent that is nowhere near as skilled as his team twice in like 2 weeks, and he's made no adjustments, but eventually skill won out, and his team did eventually take over. But I'm all for it. I want to get to the Tippett hit in a second, but first, got to take a minute to tell you about one of our partners. It's Glatt Hair Restoration. Glatt Hair Restoration has been advertising on Sports Talk for as long as I can freaking remember. If you're a Johnny Marks fan, you have been hearing about Glatt Hair for like a decade, and for good reason. Look at John. Great head of hair, and he is a customer. He is a customer of Glatt Hair Restoration. Well, Glatt Hair is now under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern, a highly respected plastic surgeon. But if you're wondering what's changed, you still get the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, same state-of-the-art location, and the same stellar results, because each member of this exceptionally trained team brings 30-plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all they do. From laser light therapy to non-invasive TED treatments, vitamin supplementation, topical or oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, and hair restoration surgery. And each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment, because everyone's hair is different and no one's in the same stage of hair loss. Check it out. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit GlattHairMCTR.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started today. And I got to tell you real quick about our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Matvei Michkov did not come through for us with an anytime goal tonight. Believe it or not, I have lost another bet at Bet365, but I have been placing all of my action with Bet365 because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary, from futures to pregame props, all that stuff. Bets on the side, total, spread, you name it. I have been placing it at Bet365, and I've been loving the experience. I think you will too. And now we have breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. All you got to do is sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, total, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Steve. The Owen Tippett hit really kind of... there was a lot of physicality that kind of set the tone for this game, but I thought that one was very... it was emblematic of the Devils in this one. They wanted to show they weren't just getting pushed around. Nathan Bastian's out there in the full shield after Nick Seeler got him pretty damn good the last game. The Flyers have been physical against the Devils. They've taken away the middle of the ice. They've frustrated them, limited their opportunities. And today the Devils said, we're going to match the physicality. And the Brendan Dillon hit on Owen Tippett kind of exemplified that. Puck from Sanheim. Owen Tippett might owe Sanheim money is really the only explanation for that pass. Sanheim, I want to ask Charlie about him in a little bit. He's ready, so we can do that now. All right. Let's bring on Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer. It is Charlie O'Connor coming to us live from Newark. Charlie, before we get anything else, thoughts on the game and any standout comments from the locker room?
Yeah, I think this game is a pretty easy one to break down. They lost it in the second period. Now, you can debate what the turning point was. I guess you could theoretically say the turning point was that first goal, the power play that carried over from the end of the first. I personally would point to the Owen Tippett hit as the turning point of this game because I just feel like I don't think the Flyers overall melted down after the hit. Number one, whether it was legal or not, the players seem to believe that the puck wasn't there. John Tortorella said after the game that after he watched it, after the game, he felt like it probably was legal. The puck was close enough that it was a legal hit, but it was certainly close enough for the players to get angry. Then obviously Owen Tippett's out for the rest of the game. To me, at least a couple guys seem to lose their cool a bit, and I just feel like this Devils team is so talented. Like the Flyers did such a good job shutting them down the first two games, really the first 7 periods. They also did a great job in the first period of this game, but they need to be so on point to slow this Devils team down because this Devils team just has a lot of talent, even with guys like Hischier out. And once they lost their focus even a little bit, I don't think they were running around like chickens with their heads cut off, but instead of having 100% focus, maybe they had 85% focus. And that just allowed the Devils to get that little edge. They took some extra penalties. The Flyers did. There were some bad turnovers to send them going back the other way. This Devils team lives off of two main things: their power play and attacking with speed off the rush, ideally with an odd man rush. And through 7 periods, the Flyers did a great job of avoiding unnecessary penalties and avoiding bad turnovers. In the second period, they did both, and they got burned for it. And I really think it's that simple. Now, Torts and the players said, some of the goals, particularly the power play goals, were bad bounces, and that's fair. But I do think that there was a bit of looseness that crept into their game that wasn't there the first 7 periods they played this team over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more as far as the looseness goes. And the bouncing pucks were unfortunate, but, you got to clear those out. Sam Ersson, tough night, gets pulled. Fedotov has to come in. What did you make of Sam Ersson's night overall?
I don't think it was his fault. And John Tortorella echoed that. He said, this wasn't Ersson's fault. We were trying to change momentum. The players we talked to Garnet Hathaway, Scott Lawton, Travis Sanheim. I think Garnet Hathaway basically said it could have been a heck of a lot worse if Sam didn't play the way he played. So I don't think this is on Ersson. That said, there's always goals that I'm sure he wishes he could have stopped. I don't think I would categorize any of them as bad, but at the end of the year, your save percentage is your save percentage, and this is one that's going to hurt him because there were probably one or two that he could have made a save on. Would have been a difficult save, but he could have made a save on it. So I don't want to absolve him entirely, but there's a reason why no one, including the coach, pointed to the goaltending. And I don't think he was pulled by any means because they were unhappy with his play. They were just unhappy with the way the period went. It was a way to try to change momentum. And also, Tortorella noted that he wanted to get Fedotov some work. Fedotov is going to play tomorrow.
Okay.
He told us that even though Ersson was pulled, it's not like he's going to go right back to him. He just said, well, get Fedotov some work. He's going to go tomorrow. So that is that with the goaltending, if you were wondering about the plan for tomorrow against the Islanders back at home.
No, that was one of my thoughts. Like, this is either a good way to get Fedotov in, because it's not like he's seen a ton of live action since Ersson came back, or, listen, it's a big game against the Islanders. This is one of the teams you're up against. Ersson's got great career numbers against the Isles. It's going to be low scoring with Sorokin. Maybe you want to get him back in there. So I'm fine with it being Fedotov, but I did want to know that. Charlie, I just want to run this idea by you because I think it's honestly genius for the league. What if each month, like this, the first 40 minutes of this game, even though it kind of got off the rails score-wise, I thought the first 40 minutes of this game were very entertaining. What if each month every team had to play their full slate of division games against one other division team? I think that would be great if they did it like, oh yeah, every October it's Flyers Penguins like 3 or 4 times. Like, that would be awesome. I don't know. I think this is a pretty good recipe the way this schedule's unfolded. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I will agree that it probably would serve to make the games more competitive because, familiarity breeds contempt, as they say. And in the end, if you play a team repeated times, there's a reason why playoff series, and it's not just because playoffs are more, or higher stakes because it's the playoffs. It's also because, you see a team multiple times over the course of a week. You're going to get angry at certain players. There's going to be, tension that builds, and then it's going to spill over. And that's what's great about the playoffs. The one reason why I would say I'd be kind of opposed to that, and it's more just a competitive balance thing. Like, how many times have we seen a team either start out the season really well or start out the season really poorly? And it would feel unfair. Like, for example, the years where the Penguins would suck the entire first half and then they would fire their coach and then be amazing the second half. If your division matchup was against them in March, but then the other really good team in the division's matchup against the Penguins was in October, and you lose the division because you happened to catch the Penguins when they were really good rather than when they stunk. Like, that is the one thing that does come to mind, is maybe that would be unfair. But from a watchability standpoint, Bill, I'm with you. It would be fun.
Yeah. You mentioned one of, if not the turning point, is the hit on Owen Tippett. There's one angle I saw where he kind of touches the puck. Like, it gets there. Whether it was in the area or not, I thought the hit was fine. It's a big hit. He's hurt. But do we have any word on Owen Tippett? Did they have? I know he was officially ruled out in like the third period, and it happened pretty early in the second. But do we have anything further on Tippett?
Yeah. We asked John Tortorella. He said no update. I'm sure he has some sort of update. I did see Owen Tippett walking around in a suit after the game. Now, just because he was walking around with no limp or no sling or anything doesn't mean he's not hurt. Obviously, I think everyone's first thought when they saw that hit was concussion. So it's possible that, he could be seeming fine when you see him walking around in a suit, but he's still, a little woozy, a little forgetful, whatever. So I don't know. But if I had to guess, I would guess at the very least they would keep him out tomorrow, even just as a precaution, just to see if a headache pops up, if it hasn't already, because why not? Why take the risk? If you remember, he actually got hurt in the lead up last year to the All-Star break, and I think they were cautious with him then as well. So perhaps we could be seeing a little bit of a repeat this year. There's only 5 more games until the Four Nations break. I'm not saying he'll miss all of them. I don't know how serious it is. And as I said, the fact that he was walking around after the game does seem like a positive sign. It's not like they put him in a room with no lights to protect him, but still, the fact that he was ruled out for the third period, never came back, not a great sign. So my first instinct is nothing, horrible, but a concussion can pop up later. So certainly not out of the woods yet.
Not worth messing around with.
No.
Yeah.
My biggest question about the hit, Charlie, is does Owen Tippett owe Travis Sanheim some money? But really, Travis Sanheim, as you would say, hasn't exactly been showering himself in glory lately, I don't think. Only 4 assists in his last 20 games, no goals. -9 in his last 4. Listen, I'm not saying plus minus is the best stat of all time, but that's not good. It's not good to be getting outscored at that rate when you're the team's number 1 defenseman. What are you seeing out of Travis Sanheim right now? Because he just hasn't looked like that guy we saw back, prior to the Christmas break or, when he was named to the 4 Nations.
Well, tonight he was bad, and we interviewed him after the game, and he more or less apologized for the pass to Tippett. Said he felt bad. He said he really didn't even see Tippett. He was more just tossing the puck to an area. Tippett was there, and obviously it puts him in a really bad spot. But he obviously felt bad about that because I'm sure he really cares about Owen Tippett as a teammate and a friend. Then he brought up unprompted the turnover that led to the Hughes brothers goal. I guess you could call it that was just a dumb play by him because I asked, why do you think the structure fell by the wayside in the second period when you guys have usually done a good job of like keeping control of your emotions in games like this, in testy games? And he basically said, well, I don't know if the structure really fell by the wayside. Like I just had a really bad play and we had some bad bounces on the power play, which fair, he ate it. He basically took full blame for it. If you're talking about his recent play, he was bad tonight. He was obviously terrible tonight. You haven't been seeing the same puck carrying aggressiveness, I would say, from him recently. I don't think he's been playing awful. Like tonight he was bad. I don't think it's quite fair to say he's been terrible for the last few weeks, but he hasn't been as impactful as he can be. That's absolutely true. And when he's not being impactful in terms of driving goals, it makes it more memorable when he's involved in mistakes that lead to goals, which he's going to be involved in because he's on the ice all the time, because that's his role. It is like, let me put it this way. If I was an executive of Team Canada, I'd be a little concerned that he's coming into 4 Nations not playing nearly as well as he was playing when we picked him for the 4 Nations team. I think that's fair. But I don't think his game has fallen off a cliff. I think he had a really rough game tonight. I don't think he's been as good as he was earlier in the year, but I don't think he's playing terrible hockey aside from tonight, obviously.
Chuck, what has happened to this team's penalty kill? They're ranked 30th in the league since mid-November. We constantly kill Rocky Thompson for the power play. Should we be equally as critical of Bradshaw's PK unit right now? Like they're a detriment to this team, and it was an elite unit a year ago.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And, I don't want to kill them too much because I do think they were a major reason why they won against the Devils 2 nights ago. They had that big 4-minute kill early in the game that I think it really just set the tone and also prevented the Devils from getting in any sort of a rhythm. I believe, both coaches after the game said that they felt like that was a momentum builder for the Flyers. Even the Devils said as much. So I don't want to kill them too much. But that said, tonight, obviously the penalty kill doesn't come through. I will agree with the players, though, that those power play goals were a little fluky. Obviously, in the end, you got to get the clear. You got to make plays, but I won't destroy the penalty kill for this particular game. That said, it's been bad this year. Well, maybe not bad. I think it came into the year 19th. So it's regressed. And obviously it's a little bit more, noticeable because they got off to such a good start. They were like the 3rd best penalty kill in the league for the first 5 weeks of the year. And since then, it hasn't been very good by the numbers. I just see little details, honestly. I don't see a complete collapse in the same way that I watch the power play and I have no freaking idea what they're doing. I just see guys missing on little details. And, sometimes that happens. It's a bummer because they were so good, consistently impactful last year. this year, we did talk to Bradshaw, I believe, yesterday, and he said that, teams definitely scouted them heavily in the offseason and are doing what they can to prevent us from attacking as much as we did last year shorthanded. So I do think that is something that maybe they haven't quite adapted yet to be able to do what they did last year in terms of creating offense. But in terms of the in zone play, I truthfully think that's more just about, getting that extra clear, winning that extra puck battle. I think it's more details than anything schematic that I'm going to kill Shaw for, as opposed to Rocky Thompson, where I do think that often the power play doesn't know what it's supposed to do, or probably more accurately, doesn't know what its strengths are and doesn't play to those strengths. I think that's more of a coaching issue. This year's penalty kill issue, I think, is a little bit more about the little details of the individual players.
Charlie, do you think that Josh Harris sabotaged the ice tonight to make up for his Commanders getting smoked so badly over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, very possible. Very possible. I was actually kind of rooting for there was a chance that Josh Harris's teams could lose 4 straight games this week involving Philadelphia teams. The Sixers would have had to lose last night. They obviously won, and the Flyers have had to win tonight. So they went 2-2. I can't say I'm a Josh Harris fan, so I enjoy seeing him sad, but what are you going to do? They won the biggest game out of the 4.
We beat them here in the 2 games here that Harris had to come into the complex he wanted to break up as the road team. We kicked their ass, and that's really all that matters in my mind. Charlie, this is going to be a tough one for you. So let's see if we can get Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars after a 5-0 loss to Jake Allen's Devils. Charlie, hit us with star number 3.
Yeah, I got news for you. They're in any Flyers.
Newsflash.
Stop doing the segment.
Newsflash. I guess 3rd star, I'll go with Luke Hughes. Not a ton of ice time for him. 16 minutes, fewest minutes on the Jersey Devils defense, but he gets that big goal, and he's a really talented player. He's one of those reasons you watch guys like Luke Hughes, and you're like, yeah, that's why getting top 10 picks can supercharge a rebuild, because he's super talented. He does a bunch of cool things on the ice. And 3rd star, sure, let's go with Luke Hughes.
Hit us with star number 2.
Star number 2, I'm going to go with Jake Allen. He could have been 1st star, to be honest. He low-key had a really good game.
He did.
And, it's weird to say that when the team loses 5-0, that the other goalie, I don't think he stole this game. I think the way I put it in my article, because I've been writing that, I had basically the entire 3rd period to write because this game was over. And I basically said, this was not a game where the Devils needed great goaltending, but they got it anyway. So, they could have easily won this game 5-3, and Jake Allen could have had a mediocre game. Instead, Jake Allen had a really good game, made a lot of really good saves. I thought the big, if there's a turning point of this game that wasn't the Owen Tippett hit, I thought early in the game, Anthony Richard makes a really good pass to Sean Couturier. Couturier gets one shot off immediately, then gets off a rebound that I thought for sure he was going to put in, and Jake Allen makes 2 really good saves on both of them. If the Flyers score there, it's a totally different game, because then you have the Devils coming off of 2 really bad games against the Flyers, okay? And then they give up an early goal. Then suddenly it's like the boulder's rolling downhill, and it's an avalanche. So instead, Jake Allen makes the big save. They hold down the fort in the 1st. They get out of that 1st period, which I thought was a better period for the Flyers than it was for the Devils. They get out of that 1st period, tied zip, and then they have the ability to, in the 2nd period, come out flying. If Allen doesn't make that save, who knows how it plays out. So Jake Allen, solid number 2 star choice for this one.
I thought there were 2 times Allen really stepped up. It's there on the Couturier save with the really good play from Tony Dick. And then it's already 2-0, but it's still a back and forth fun game. And it's going end to end, both teams getting chances. Ersson comes up with some big saves to keep it 2-0. And then the Flyers can't take advantage at the other end. And then there's a penalty. They score to make it 3-0. And that's really all that was. I do think Jake Allen, despite the Devils put up 5. He was one of their best players tonight. All right. Wrap it up with star number 1.
Yeah, star number 1 is just Jack Hughes. I mean, goal and an assist.
So good.
He's a great player. And, when he's healthy, he is, in my mind, one of the elite players in the league. I actually got into a debate with, I think it was Ryan Lambert from I think he's with EP Rinkside now.
Yeah.
And he had put in an article that, he's just not sure if the Devils, they're a good team, but do they have the star power? And I'm like, I don't know. I think Jack Hughes, I would consider him to be, a capital S star. He's not a McDavid McKinnon guy yet, although I wouldn't shock me if he takes the leap the same way his brother Quinn did in the Norris level. I don't know if he's quite there yet, but I absolutely, I would have no problem going into the playoffs and saying Jack Hughes is my best player. That to me is more than enough to win a Stanley Cup. And he looked like a great player tonight. The Flyers did a great job against the Devils' top guys in those first 2 games, really the first 7 periods of this 3-game set, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
But Jack Hughes was one of the big reasons why they took over in the second period, and he's my first star.
I think we're going to do a little Elias Pettersson stuff after we let you go, Charlie. And,
okay.
It's all this talk about JT and all this talk about EP. And it's like, if I'm Quinn Hughes, I'm like, get me out of here. I'm done with this nonsense. Let me go play with my brothers. But all right, that's it. That's Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, coming to us live. He will be with us tomorrow for the Islanders game pre and post as well, or just post probably. I don't know. So we'll talk to Charlie. Yeah, we'll talk to Charlie tomorrow. Take it easy, Chuck.
All right, bye, Bill.
All right, this is the Bet365 PHLY Flyers post-game show. And before we go any further, I got to tell you about our friends at Game Time. Man, I'm telling you, I'm having trouble. I know I've been telling you about the Montreal trip for weeks now, and I absolutely have to go on that. It's a work thing, but AEW pay-per-view coming into town. You know where I was looking for tickets before I realized the date was a conflict? It was at Game Time. That's right. So I can't go, but you still can. And maybe you want to actually catch a Flyers home game. Why not? All sorts of events. And Game Time Picks, the newest feature at Game Time, makes finding tickets to your favorite events even easier by filtering out the fluff and showing you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't waste time searching through thousands of tickets, and you still have all the features that made Game Time the #1. That's right, the best secondary ticket marketplace, from the all-in pricing, the seat views, the low price guarantee, and the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. And while we're here, I got to tell you about Rothman Orthopedics. That's right, because if you have joints aching or hands cramping or your back's out of whack, Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopedics, they're practicing specialized care. It has been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission, it's high quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research. Research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doc is laser focused on their specialty, whether it's hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part right in your backyard, so you can get back to whatever you specialize in, because they're Rothman Orthopedics and they specialize in you. That's Rothman Orthopedics, specializing in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. All right, and now we welcome back Fuzzy Steve as he looks more beautiful in that perfect 4K picture.
Josh Harris is trying to shut me down over here. He heard me speaking ill of him, and he said he shut down my internet feed.
It's very clear that there is a vendetta against you in some way. That's why you got to go with Comcast.
There you go. As opposed to whatever mysterious Harris internet that I've signed up for.
I don't even know, is there other internet even available? I assume you have Comcast, because what else even is there?
There's a couple of them, but I don't think Josh Harris offers one of them. But hey, we're back. I closed about 1 million browser tabs and we're good now.
There you go. I want to get into a little bit of Matvei Michkov stuff, but first I mentioned the penalty kill to Charlie. Devils power play. Now listen, you look at the skill on that Devils team. They have a great power play. It's not shocking. But they score in their first 2 attempts. Flyers PK is rated 30th in the NHL since November 14th. They were an elite unit last year, all the shorthanded goals, great rating. They started out the year really, really well, and now they're in the bottom 3. Is this a coaching problem, Steve, to you, or do you think it's kind of the way Charlie put it is Listen, they just need to like win more battles and make more plays. They're doing like the structure is the same. They're just not making the plays they were last year. So it's hard to put on coaching. Whereas like, we see Rocky Thompson in the power play and Charlie goes, I don't know what the hell they're doing. And my reaction to that is, well, if you don't know what the Flyers power play is doing, you're a candidate to be on it. But what do you think about the PK right now? Is it coaching or execution?
I'm inclined to agree with Charlie because if I legally have to, right? Like,
I think that's the law.
He's the number one Flyers beat writer. You have to agree with him on it. But no, like you do have to feel like that's part of it. It's definitely like execution. It's weird though. It's just like there's so many of the same pieces, and you just fathom like why doesn't it work the same as it did? You also have to think there's some level of adaptability around the league, right? Because these teams all have extensive scouting now on what the Flyers did last year and why they were so successful. Nonetheless, like you do have to think it's some degree of execution. Maybe they're not playing with the same level of like, I don't know, fieriness or whatever it is. It's a difference maker right now. I mean, if you look at the special teams battle tonight, Flyers went 0 for 4 in the power play. Again, a couple of those maybe weren't very long, but nonetheless, 0 for 4 is a bad number. 2 for 3 for the Devils. I mean, that's huge right there.
And the third one was like, we were just killing time at that point. Like, they went 2 for 2 and then the game was over.
They might as well have been smoking cigarettes out there. It was just like a break.
Yeah.
It's just the special teams are something that can really make or break a team. And look, those bounces suck tonight, right? But somebody's got to clear that crease and clear that puck out. We've been praising Ristolainen for a lot of the year for what he's done defensively, and it's been great. But that's a situation where I want to see Risto move everybody out like the Hulk and then just get that puck out by all means necessary.
No, because we can talk about bounces, but the puck is bouncing the same for the offense. Now, sometimes there's just luck where it ends up right on your stick. But I think of, it was a weird bouncing puck that Matvei Michkov couldn't bury for a goal. And like, that's a difference right there. And what could have turned the game into a totally different situation. Like the Sean Couturier play gets reviewed. Like that's a bounce that if it goes the other way, you're up 1-0 in a game that you lost 5-0. Totally different game at that point.
A lot of bounces tonight, actually, now I think about it.
Like the bounces, especially on the penalty kill to me are like, don't put yourself in position where it's bad luck. Like, if there's 3 guys if there's 3 Devils around and the puck takes a weird hop and there's only 1 Flyer in the area, guess what's going to happen? Chances are it's going to end up on a Devil stick.
Right.
Like they're going to win. I thought it was a lot like the way when Ivan Fedotov played that first period against the Florida Panthers that ultimately saw them then get benched for a month. It was, man, some of those, like the plays that led to the goals he gave up that made Torts go, there's a bad turnover in there. There's an Evan Rodriguez breakaway. Like you can blame a lot of people for the stuff that went on. But ultimately, you see the shots that beat Ivan Fedotov in that period and you go, I don't know, man. Like, why didn't they just hit you? Like,
right.
If the Flyers are capable, if they put themselves in position to make a play, it's a good bounce for your team. I have trouble blaming it on that. But overall, I do think it's more of they're just not playing as well as they did last year. And that's why the PK is part of it. The overall numbers as well. Like, I don't know, the team has like an 870 save percentage. So what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? And also just tonight, so much of it was odd man rush. So much of it was playing into that Devils speed game. They slowed them down in the previous 2 games. They've really made the Devils play Flyers hockey instead, play John Tortorella Flyers hockey. That was not the case tonight. They played the Devils game and it benefited
a lot of back
the
and
Devils.
forth.
This was like such a bad game for the Flyers, both luck wise, but also just like not playing their game wise. Like once they got away from it in the second period and look, Tippett, you can say whatever you want as far as like seeing your own guy hurt and everything. Owen Tippett's an important player who plays a lot of minutes for this team. It disrupts the chemistry of the lines. It disrupts like everything. And he's also your fastest player. So losing Owen Tippett is, I think, a huge factor in this game. And if he's unavailable tomorrow against the Islanders, that's a big loss for the team. Like, even when Tippett's not effective, he can still move the puck quickly into the offensive zone in a way that not a lot of guys on this team can. The only guy I can think of who can really do it like that is Richard.
No, and I thought we had another solid game from Anthony Richard tonight as well. And listen,
good stuff.
If Tippett's going to be out, it's an opportunity for somebody else to step up, get themselves back into the lineup. Maybe
Richard back with Michkov. Let's go. Let's do it.
Maybe we see Richard back with Mish. Maybe we see Kurz instead of Lawton center that line. We'll see. Maybe Rodrigo of Bulls is back in the lineup. He was out tonight with Scott Lawton playing center and Kurz centering that fourth line. So we'll see how that goes. We have super chats, and I'm going to do a little bit of trade deadline stuff. But first, I got to tell you about PHLY and Philly Sports Trips road trip to Montreal. That's right. April 4th to the 7th. This trip to Montreal is a must for Flyers fans of all ages. Experience the thrill of hockey in its birthplace while cheering on the Flyers against the Canadiens. Trip package includes optional round-trip direct flights from Philly to Montreal, a comfortable 3-night hotel stay at the Hyatt Centric Montreal, meet and greet with Brian Propp, group tickets to the game, and an all-inclusive tailgate, and much, much more. Plus, our dedicated team of trip coordinators will be on hand to ensure everything runs smoothly so you can enjoy the rich history and vibrant atmosphere of Montreal. I've been telling you about this for weeks. I need you to come to Montreal with us and Philly Sports Trips. Philly Sports Trips puts on one hell of an event. Montreal is one of Kelly's favorite cities. It's one of Charlie's favorite cities. I am going for my very first time. I cannot wait for this. Come on and just enjoy Canada with us, man. And boo the Habs, yell at Lane Hudson, cheer on Matvei Michkov. It's going to be a great freaking time. About Mish real quick. About 14 and a half, 15 minutes tonight, no points. I thought he was much more engaged than in the last game. Again, like misplays a puck in front that he could have scored on, but made some really nice defensive plays. I thought at the blue line to break up a couple of opportunities for the Devils. He's involved in the scrum after the Owen Tippett hit, I believe. I just thought he was kind of maybe in line for a little bit more ice time. One of those games where it's like, oh, he's going pretty good tonight. Let's see what we can get out of him. Also, it's a back-to-back, and you're down 4-0, before the third period begins. So maybe it's like, what the hell's the point? But I
almost want to unleash him in that scenario,
Yeah,
like down 4-0. Like, we need goals. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, what if he just makes two of those plays that makes it 4-2 and like suddenly it's a real game? But that's not the way they went tonight. But I was much happier with his play than I was on Monday when he only got 9:45.
I agree with that. I mean, he doesn't end up with any shots, but he had opportunities, and the defensive players were nice to see. Like, it's a better game out of him. I mean, it's not a game where you had a lot of notable Flyers that you could say had good games. Like, there are guys you can say, oh, hey, Hathaway got in some guys' faces at times, and that was fun. But, like, not a lot of guys you can point to and say, oh, he had a good game. So, an okay game for Michkov tonight.
They lost 5-0. No one had a good game.
No one had a good game.
I liked his level of engagement far more.
We got to look at it. We got an hour to talk about this. We got to get a silver lining somewhere.
Somebody had to do something that was worth discussing.
Yeah.
I do want to get in a little bit of this trade deadline stuff, because there's some players available that I had kind of given up on the Elias Pettersson thing. Like, just seemed so much like they just have to move on from JT Miller, figure this thing out with the young players that they have, and go from there. Maybe be able to re-sign Brock Besser, whatever the hell it is. But it really still feels as if they might choose to keep JT, or they might just go, we have to get rid of both of these guys because they're such a pain in our ass. Let's just say screw it. Even though it's a different thing because they were like buddies that they had to break up.
Right.
Do the Carter and Richards thing. Like, you know what? We're saying goodbye to both of you.
Who's going to CI? What's the Sea Isle of Vancouver?
What the hell's that club? It's like a bar that everyone always talks about in Vancouver.
I don't know.
Damn. I think like Connor Bedard's parents met there. Maybe it's like a legendary
romantic.
bar. It's like a legendary bar that everyone parties at. Like
That's I guess Pettersson ain't leaving there because
maybe
JT Miller seems like he's cool just coming back to like New York or something like that. Although they can't seem to work out a deal. It's wild to me, Bill, that we're even talking about trading Pettersson. Like, I still can't believe that they haven't just figured out something for Miller. He does have a more complicated situation, given his age and his trade restrictions, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's Pettersson. I mean, for that first year after Nolan Patrick, like before we even knew about Nolan Patrick's like all his issues, like Pettersson was the guy we were most jealous of at first.
Yeah, and that is, I always say, like, if you tell me now that you wanted Cale Makar, I don't believe you, because like Colorado was pissed that they didn't win this lottery, so they had the chance to draft Patrick or Hischier. I do remember there being a couple of people who were like, should we be looking at Elias Pettersson? And I was like, I don't know, man. Everyone says it's Nolan Patrick, and now this Nico Hischier guy's in the mix. And
I always love the revisionist history of this.
Maybe you looked at Heiskanen, maybe you looked at Pettersson, maybe you looked at Makar, but I really don't believe it. I think it was always Patrick and Hischier.
If you were podcasting at this time and talking about that draft every damn week that year, you know what it was. We both know.
Yes, I do remember some people being like, hey, man, should we? And like by some, I mean 2 or 3 going like, yo, should we be like thinking about Pettersson though? But just looking at this thing, and this is some real rage bait I want to get to real quick from Kevin Kurz. That's why I wanted to bring this up. So he has a tweet. He has a tweet at 4:30 today. The main reason I don't think the Flyers would be interested in Elias Pettersson is because they just don't know him. I don't see them committing to a player for that long and for that kind of term without them having intimate knowledge of what makes a guy tick. And I got to tell you, while I can, in some regard, like, okay, you're taking on a huge cap hit for a long, long time, and you want to be absolutely sure when you make that kind of commitment to a guy, and the team that just signed him to it, like, 13 months ago or something, is already like, oh, we need to get the hell out of this. I can somewhat understand this. However, this is the thing I'll always say about the way the Flyers are doing this rebuild, making it culture-centric, making it John Tortorella-centric. Our room, one of the reasons that like Scott Lawton can't be traded and guys like Garnet Hathaway need to come in here, and we need to make sure Eric Johnson's around. Like, we have so much tied up in the culture that I refuse to believe that we can't bring in a 26-year-old Selke contending point per game, former 100-point guy and integrate him into the culture. I refuse to believe that. And if we can't, the whole thing's a farce. And second, if he is just kind of a soft guy and not a playoff player, that's why John Tortorella is here. That whole skill set, the whole idea of this thing is that that's a learned trait. It can be taught. It can be instilled in guys. And that's what John Tortorella is here to do. I don't buy this. If a number one center, potential superstar is available, you get him.
You get him. Think about what Travis Konechny was before John Tortorella. Okay. TK, one of the most inconsistent players, drove people nuts. Like, you could see the talent, but you wondered what the ceiling was. You were like,
top 10 in scoring.
He's top 10 in scoring. He's over a point per game. Even tonight, he's still over a point per game. And like, you got Austin Matthews calling him one of the most underrated in the league. Like, he's tremendous. He's a great two-way player now. Like, Torts has worked some wonders with him. And I've seen Pettersson's stick skills. Like, he really has some next level stick skills. Can you imagine sticking this guy with Matvei Michkov? I certainly can.
It's unbelievable. Before we wrap up tonight's show, just got to say we appreciate all of those of you watching on TV. Thank you very much. For more of the show, go to allphly.com. Yeah, there's also a rumor that Brandt Clarke might be available from the Kings, and these are the things, like, it's not like I know we have to be patient. I know everyone has to kind of take a step back and go, Danny's going to make moves when he feels it's right. But if this team, yeah, that's Kevin Weeks tweeted out.
Kevin Weeks and his eye emoji crack me up.
It really is. But you see, like, listen, he's leading the defense in points. Brandt Clarke is for the Kings. All of a sudden, Drew Doughty's out, and maybe Clark's not even in the lineup. He's got they're limiting his minutes a little bit. Like, if you are going to do the rebuild this way, you have to take advantage of distressed assets elsewhere and make the point to say, we ourselves can get more out of these players than whatever the organization that's giving up on them can. That's really just my whole point. I wanted to make sure we got that in today because we don't have another studio show till like next week.
Let's make some moves, baby. Let's get weird. I'm all about it because you have assets already. Like, even if you move a couple of those first round picks, like, you're still going to have another first. Like, you have a lot to work with right now, and I'd love to get some more young NHL talent in there. Now, Clarke is an interesting one. I'm not quite sure how aggressive I want to go for him. I go pretty aggressive, but like, Pettersson's the one that really he makes me antsy. Like, a guy like Pettersson, or one of the guys we were talking about on my podcast this week was like Marco Rossi from the Wild. Like, if the Wild were willing to move on from Marco Rossi, that would be a great fit here. There are guys out there that you can work deals for. Like, I don't know how available any of these guys are. Pettersson seems like he's pretty available, even though he shouldn't be. This is what you need. Like, this is clear number one need on this team. And I try not to go too nuts for Briere making stuff. I very much understand where this team is at this year and that it's not necessarily the time to make a lot of these moves. That's one move. I don't care what you got to do. And I know the Flyers might not have enough NHL ready assets to make that move from the Canucks standpoint. Whatever you got to do. You got to work a 16 team trade to make it happen. Whatever. Get creative. Let's go.
I also, another guy, like, I'm looking to take advantage of teams like Detroit, who just feel as if they should be further along. And if they're going to do something stupid, like an 8th overall pick from 2022, Marco Kasper has been really good for them lately, but he's not 21 yet. And this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a while. Like, what if some of our NHL guys, like, they think put them over the top and we can get Kasper back? Maybe you end up giving up a little more than you want, but you need to take risks at some point. I don't know if it's now, this offseason, next deadline, the 2026, but at some point you are going to have to pull the trigger on something, and there are opportunities. I don't know which one of these is best. That's Danny Briere's job, not mine. But there are opportunities right now to kind of take the next step here.
That was always the number one flaw with the Hextall regime. Hextall did a great job clearing cap. He got some good young assets. He never pulled the trigger on the NHL level talent. And I think we can all agree the greatest sin he did was waste that Claude Giroux MVP level season. You know, if there's a time to pull the trigger on getting a complete team, it's when your guy's playing at an MVP level, you know, like, and I know we're not there. Like, you're getting the best you've ever gotten out of Konecny right now. And I think if Konecny's going to be playing at this level for the next like 2-3 years, and we're talking about Michkov like coming in like Rambo next year, all jacked up, and you know, I think at some point in the next, like, I would say 2 years, you got to pull the trigger on somebody. If Pettersson's available, you move heaven and earth to get that guy. Like, he's just too good. The stick skills are something that you can't get just anywhere. That's just the level of talent you need to move to the next level and complement the guys that you have. You have some great guys. Like, is not a complete team, but you have some great pieces. Like, you really do. And it's enough to, if you can get like that center, you can get the goaltending. I think the defense is not all the way there, but there's a lot of really good pieces on the defense right now.
Yeah, there's pieces. I forget what my last thing on this was going to be.
Brandt Clarke, defense, centers.
Oh, no, just in terms of Elias Pettersson, and we got to hit super chats and get out of here. Like, you just have to bet on the skill. And another thing about, like, the contract is, 11.6 for the, like, 6 or 7 years he has left on it. It's a ton. It's absolutely a ton.
Cap's going up, baby.
However, with the cap going up, so too are the prices on those players. Like, that's a $14 million contract soon, and you have him at 11.6. Like, I don't know, man. If he gets moved and it's not to the Flyers, I'm going to be disappointed. All right, Brenna, let's hit those super chats. All right, from JH, it sucked and they hung poor Sam out like laundry. Yeah, that second period, they did. They absolutely just left Sam Ersson out to dry. That's the best way to put it.
You gotta clear that crease, bud.
Yeah, just give him a little bit of support.
You can't be letting the Hughes have a 2-on-1 on you. That's just disaster.
He was going to need shutout stuff tonight to give them it. That's the thing is, whether it was 1 or 4, if he didn't have, I'm not letting any by me, they had no chance tonight the way they played in front of him.
Didn't he score any damn goals against Jake Allen?
Exactly. All right. Is that the, I believe that is the only one. All right. Only one super chat tonight. So I'm going to wrap up before we get one under the wire. That is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Postgame, brought to you by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Make sure you're following us right here on the YouTube page. Hit that notification bell. Always get the reminders whenever we go live. We'll be here for pre and post tomorrow as well as Sunday. Weird schedule this week. Off Friday, Saturday, play on Sunday. But hell, I'll take Friday and Saturday off any day. Follow
no
the
football
Twitter
this Sunday, so
yeah,
hey.
No football. It's perfect. Follow the Twitter at PHLY_Flyers and follow the podcast as well. Wherever you get those, just search PHLY Flyers and listen to Steve's show, Flyperbole, available wherever there's podcasts. Make sure you check them out too. Steve's doing great work for us, and he's been doing great work for BSH for years now. All right, that's it. My name is Bill Matz. That's Steve Jaco. Until tomorrow, go Birds.